since I put a video up, we're going to see if we can do anything with this TV. It's a Sharp 42-inch. Thing's about, I don't know, 15 years old or better. It started out with just having kind of like a dirty screen, like the screen was melting or something up in the top left corner. You can't see it on this view with this picture on there, but with a picture of something white on there, you can actually see it looks like it's dirty. But they dealt with that for a long time because it wasn't that noticeable. But then all of a sudden the screen freaked out one day and it ended up looking like this. So we're going to see if we can get this situation figured out. You can see what the screen looks like. It's got all the lines in there and the straight up and down lines. It's just all freaked out looking. I haven't come across anything like this before, so we'll take it apart and see if we can clean some connections and stuff like that and see if we can figure out what's going on with it. Here's a look at the back with the cover off. It's got 15 years worth of dust on there. So I'm going to take a vacuum cleaner and clean that all up before I take anything else apart. Alright, well, I think I figured out what the problem is. I went through the whole thing and I disconnected all the cables, reconnected them one at a time, and turned it on every time to see if I could figure out the exact connection that was bad. And after I did that, there was no difference on any of the cable connections that I took off. And then I started to look at this spot right here, that aluminum piece right here. I tapped on it and all of a sudden the picture just cleared right up. So there's a bad connection somewhere underneath that, in that area somewhere. And I'll turn this around and get it hooked up, and I'll tap on that, and I'll show you what the screen is doing. It cleared up a little bit, so it's a lot better than what it was. So I don't know what it's going to look like once I turn it around and everything, but we'll give it a look. Okay, so you can see the bad picture, and I'm going to tap on the back of this on that aluminum piece that I pointed to and show you what the difference is on the screen. You can see it kind of froze there. So let me turn it off, turn it back on, and it'll look different again from what it did before. You can see it's kind of messed up, and there it cleared up right there. So it's perfectly clear now. So that's the problem. Underneath that aluminum piece there's a bad connection somewhere, so it looks like that's the next thing to do, is pull that board, or yeah, pull that whole board out and give it a look-see, look over the whole thing, see if I can figure out the exact component. It might be one of those main processing chips that's underneath that aluminum piece, so hopefully it's nothing too bad and we can fix it and straighten it out. So I think I narrowed it down to the location of where the problem might be. If you remember, I showed you this. This goes right in here, and I said it was something underneath there. I can flex the board. I can just push on the board in this area, and it straightens out the video a little bit, and sometimes it straightens it out completely. But if I hold it and turn the TV off, turn it back on, then the TV comes on clear. So it's like it's got to go through a reset thing when I'm holding it to make a better connection. It seems like it's this chip right here, because when I press on it I can hear a little clicking, like there's a bad connection. It snaps like it's just like it's a piece of tape being pulled stuck and then pulled away, that kind of sound. So I think that might be the first one I look at, and this is all solder balls underneath all these. This one, this one, this one, this one. I was hoping it wasn't going to be these, because I don't have a heat gun to actually heat these up. So I'll have to use this little tiny torch that I have, but I can't adjust the temperature on it. That's the only thing. But let me show you when I press on this. We'll look at the TV screen and I'll show you what it does. So there it is, just being turned on. You can still see the lines in there. Now I'm going to press on that chip that I pointed to. And you can see how the image freezes. Hopefully you can see that. That's when I'm pressing on it. I let it go. Now it's not changing, but I'm going to hold pressure in on this chip, and I'm going to turn it off and turn it back on and see if it comes in clear. That's what it's usually been doing. So we turn it off. I'm going to wait until it clicks. That's the relays on the board. Now I'm going to turn it on, and I still have pressure on that chip. Now you can see that it come in perfectly clear. So it's something on that corner of the board or that chip itself, because what I'm pressing on the board is actually flexing the board a little bit too, so it could be any number of components around that area. Now I'm going to let it go, and now you can see that it came back. That's pushing pressure, perfectly clear picture. Now I let it go. Give it a second and it'll probably mess up. That little ticking you hear, if you can hear that, that's me pressing on that chip. It seems like it's staying right now. There it goes. So now you see the lines again. Now I'm going to press on the chip again, and now it disappears. So it is something in that corner of the board, if not that chip alone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the board the rest of the way out, and I'm going to look with a magnifying glass all over that area, touch up any solder joints that I can see, and I'll try to reflow the solder underneath that chip, and hopefully that'll fix it. So here's what I got set up. We'll see if this works. I cut out a piece of tin foil with the size of the chip on there, and I'm going to tape it just so it stays in place. So this is the torch I have, and just so this don't blow that away. I already put some flux underneath it, so it run. I got it on an angle so it run underneath there to get everything all soaked up in there. I did this same thing on a laptop video chip a long time ago. I think I mentioned that in one of my videos, and that laptop still works today, and I did that over 10 years ago, and like I said, the laptop is still working, so hopefully I'll get lucky again. Maybe this will work. If not, it's no big loss, because the TV is, like I said, 15 years old or so, and they already bought a new one. So, but you know, it's fun to tinker around, see if we can do it or not. Now, if you had a regular heat station for doing this kind of stuff, this would be easy. But I don't have one of those. I don't know if I plan on getting one, because I don't see myself doing this that often. So we'll just play around like this and see what happens. I'm going to take this off the angle now because I don't know how well this chip will stay in place being at an angle like that. I don't know if it's going to start sliding down a little bit or whatever, but just, you know, so it don't. Let's see. I'll put something underneath there to kind of keep it straight. Want it flat as possible, I guess, so nothing runs. Now this thing says it gets up to, God, I can't remember, 3,000 degrees or something like that. I don't even remember what it is. What does it say? It doesn't really say on this thing, but I thought I looked it up on the internet and it got really super hot. And we only need, at the most, like 400 degrees or something like that Fahrenheit. I think that's what it was. But we'll see what happens. See if I remember how to start this thing. Just going to blow out the tip there. That's not too hot, and I got that far away and it's not burning my hand at all right now. So I probably want to keep it at some sort of a distance like that. Probably a little closer. My flame went out. Hopefully it's got enough fluid in it. Might be acting up because of the angle. I guess I can't put it at so much of a bowl shape because that's probably what's blowing it out. Oops. It's got a little continuous hold button right here, so I ain't got to hold my finger on there. I've got it about 1.5 inches away from it. Oops. It's probably because I have this in a bowl shape, that's why it keeps going out, but I want to try to get it heated from all sides, but I guess I probably don't need to. Just on top of it would be good, but kind of see the flame sticking out at the end of it now. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Flame's coming out to about 1 inch out from the end. And get frustrating there. I guess it's not meant to go at angles. Like I said, there's no temperature, so I don't know how hot that's getting. I just don't want to get it real close to it. And I'm sure if I touch it, I'll burn my fingers. I actually don't feel that warm at all. Yeah, if you hold your finger on it a little bit, you can feel how warm it gets, but so it's definitely getting warm. Hopefully it's going all the way through and melting the solder balls on the other side. I want to feel the other side of it. Not right underneath it, but I don't want to knock any of the chips off that are underneath. Capacitors and resistors and stuff. I can hold my finger on it underneath it, so it's not really too warm at all down there, so that's a good thing. I can't remember how long I held the flame on the laptop chip. I think it was probably like 5 minutes just working it around or something. That's what I kind of remember, but I'm not sure. Yeah, if I hold my finger long enough on the back side, I can feel it getting warm. I don't want to touch it too hard, like I said, because I might knock those chips off on the other side. Don't want to do that. I'm probably going to say that's about it. I think we'll give this a try. We'll give that a try and see what it does. Alright, we'll let that cool and then clean it up with some alcohol and Q-tips, and then put it back in the TV and see if it did anything. Alright, I have the board back in, ready to try it out for the first time. Just want to mention that you're looking at the TV in the reflection of a mirror, so this way I can see it too from behind. Alright, let's see what this does. Just to give you an update, that clicking noise that I was explaining to you, when I didn't hear that when I had the board outside the TV, so it must have fooled me, and it was, you know, just rubbing up tight up against where the screw mounts are or something like that. I wasn't pushing on that chip very hard at all, though. I didn't want to break the board or anything, but so let's see what this does. See if we have to try the next chip or not. There, it's on. Still there. There you go. You're an eyewitness of it. So it looks like we got to move on to the next chip. Probably the bigger processor chip that was on there. I'm going to push on that small chip, and it clears it up, so it's flexing the board. Somewhere it's flexing the board, and it's causing it to do that still. So that's pushing on the small chip. Let me shut it off and restart it again. I'm going to hold pressure on that small chip, but I guess that doesn't matter now, because if the solder melted, that wasn't the chip. Okay, I'm going to turn it back on. I'm trying not to flex the board at all either, because I got my finger behind it. Yeah, so there it come on clear. But I'm still flexing the board a little bit because I'm pressing on the chip. But I'm trying not to flex it that much at all, so there I let it go. That's touching the big chip that was next to it. I'm putting pressure on that big chip. That was on the little chip that turned it off, so I'm just going to press on the board somewhere up there towards the top. Nothing there. Oh, there it came. I'm just pressing on the board right now. So this is going to be a probably a tough one to figure out, because it's happening when I flex the board. So if you're familiar with troubleshooting on circuit boards, then you know that when you flex a board, it could be difficult to find the problem. Alright, you seen I did the top processing chip on there. Let's see what that does. Gonna turn it on. Still the same. Put some pressure on there. Still, when I press on the board, it seems to fade away a little bit. That's the main processor chip I'm pushing on right now. That seems like it gets rid of a lot of it, except for that top line up there. So maybe I'm not heating it up enough to melt the solder. I can't leave the TV on too long, because those processor chips get really hot, and it needs that heat sink on there. Well, that's pushing on another part of the board, on another chip, and that seemed froze it up there. Let me shut it off and turn it back on. Oh, I didn't wait long enough. Let me turn it back off. Wait for it to click. It clicks. Turn it back on. It's not too bad. I'm not touching anything. Here's that last chip I touched. Don't seem to do too much. So it's still the flexing of the board is what makes it that's pushing kind of hard in the center of the board. That's on one corner of that chip that I just did. That's down below, so it seems like it's all over, so it's hard telling where it's actually the problem. Intermittent problems, the hardest to figure out. guess we'll keep going. Alright, here we go again. I did the second processor. You've seen a short clip of that. I forgot to turn my camera on and record, so I didn't record the whole thing of me heating it up, but I seen a puff of smoke, so let's hope the TV turns on this time. Maybe I might have got that too hot or something, but let's see what happens. It's clear so far. Don't let it fool us though. I'll start pushing around on the board a little bit. Yep, there was a little bit. I don't know if you caught that glimpse. It was just for a second though. Yeah, right. Let's see. Chips get hot fast when the heat sink's not on there, so can't run it too long. I got my thumb on them a little bit so I can tell if they're getting warm. Top one's getting a little hot, so I guess I'm going to have to shut it off. But you can see it once in a while I can get just a little speck of messed up picture on there. But I'll continue to check it out, see if it's going to pass or not. Maybe I'm getting closer, but maybe I didn't get the whole thing yet, but we'll see. But I'll shut this off before it gets too hot. Alright, I'll check it out a little bit more, see if I can find anything else. Alright, here's another try. I ended up using the heat on another little chip on the board next to the very first one, and then I touched up the connections on the LV cable that goes over to the board I can't think of right off the top of my head that goes to the screen. And I touched up a couple other cable connectors, and I touched up the tuner. I didn't really see anything else that I could get my little magnifying glass to see, but we'll see if this one works. If not, back to troubleshooting some more. Well, it's clear right now, but remember what happened last time. It fooled us one. Well, yeah, it fooled us once, we should say. But I'm gonna push around on the board just a little bit, see if we can get some noise up there. Yep, right there. Just that little tiny bit of pushing. Can you see that? It's right next to that. Yeah, you can see it when I push it. I'm just barely putting pressure on that board. So there's something that's loose, but I ain't found it yet. Now my finger's off it and it's staying up there. Oh, now it just went away. Guess the board flexed back by itself or something, but without touching it, that's what it looks like for now. I mean, it is 100% better than what it was. But I'm going to look around some more, see what I can come up with. Alright, so I got the board out again. I'm pretty convinced that it's this chip here that's still causing the problem. So I'm going to try to heat that up again, and this time I got a laser temperature gun, and see if I can record see the temperature as I'm heating it up with my torch. We'll see if it works. We'll give it a try. I'll give this a try, but I bet I'm going to need a hotter torch to get this done the rest of the way. So 3,000 degrees. I don't think this one gets 3,000 degrees. Well, here's the try after doing that latest chip. Like I said, it didn't get much heat, but we'll see. Clear there, but I'm going to press on the chip. Yeah, it's still got a little something going on. Alright, need a hotter heat gun. Instead of having you continue to watch me try to do something, record the effects of it, if it works or not, you know, going on with that, I decided just to work on it, do a whole bunch of stuff, try to get it fixed and everything, and then show you what happened afterwards in one big thing. I think I might have got it. I'm not sure yet because I haven't bolted this back into the TV and twisted it and torqued it, because it seemed that every time I twisted the board it would fix the picture, but as soon as I let it go it would happen again. So I know it's something on the board. So I ended up taking the board out, so it's just hanging here, and I have some ground wires on here just to keep it grounded to the TV in 2 spots. All the connections are connected. I got a little wire up here at the top that is supporting the board so the wires don't get pulled or anything, because this flex cable here is real small and sensitive. So this way I could get my hand behind it and push on different spots on the board at the same time without trying to flex the board at all to try to locate the spot that's causing the problem. So I'm just, my fingers in the same spot on the board, I'm pushing hard on each component, trying to figure out which one clears it up, which one doesn't. And I come across this area right here. It's definitely where the problem is. So what I ended up doing was, I'll show you it right here. These components in this area, not the big chips, the resistors and the capacitors and the really tiny surface mount components there, I ended up touching up the solder on both sides of the board. Because when I got to the point to where I just threw this whole board into the oven at 375 degrees to see if it would just reflow all the solder, and it didn't work. Apparently it needed to be hotter than 375 degrees Fahrenheit. So the only thing I got out of that was a smelly house. So that's what I did. I ended up touching up all the solder on all those components, put this back together like this, and it seemed to be working fine for 3 or 4 hours. Now I can't just turn this on like this and leave it, because this chip, and this chip require a heat sink, and if you don't have a heat sink on there when this thing's running, them chips get really super hot. So what I did is I got a separate power supply behind me over here, and I got just a regular fan, a 12 volt fan, or it's actually a 24 volt fan, and I just screwed it right to the frame here, and let the air cool it as I pressed on the board and was working on it, trying to figure out what the problem was. So having one of these around is handy for if you're going to remove a heat sink and work on something. So I'm going to take this board and I'm going to screw it into the frame, put all the screws in there, and hope that it doesn't break this solder joint that I found that fixed the problem. If it does, then I guess we start over again, but I don't have a magnifying glass that can zoom in so close to the surface mount components to where I could see the cracks. They cost a lot of money and I don't have that kind of money. Alright, so let me get this together, take a look at the screen, see if it works or not. Well, here's the finished results here. I put it together. I don't have the back on it yet, but I put all the boards in there and screwed it all in and everything, tapped on the board, make sure everything was okay, and I'll leave it run like this for a few hours or whatever. And I've already turned the TV around and moved it, and so I know it twisted the board a little bit and everything, so it stayed clear. I just got some old vacation pics and stuff popping through here right now. I mentioned at the very beginning that this TV had a dark line, or a dark area over in here. You can't really see it. Sometimes it seemed like it was worse than what it is, but right now you can't even really tell anything. And when I said that, I didn't know that this TV had those had the tubes in there for lights and not LEDs. My bad for not looking that up, but it's not bad at all. You can't even tell that it's there. If I remember correctly, it was right in here somewhere, and you could see that that's a pretty clear picture. You can't even tell that at all. So I think I'm going to call this one a done job. So you've seen and heard all the work I went through to do it. So a lot of time and a little patience. I took probably 4 days altogether to go through this and get it back to working condition. So hope this helped out. I guess we'll see you on the next one.